Thanks, Robin. Our fourth story of the evening is, a brief history of Lady Charlotte, Duchess of Beaumont, and it's taken from our November 2020 event, Disruption. It's by Emma Kernahan. Emma lives in Stroud. At work, she writes about the UK government, and in her spare time, she writes comedy. You can do your own punchlines at the end of that one. She's been published in places such as The Independent, Yorkshire Bylines and McSweeney's. She also won the Gloucestershire Writers Network Prose Prize, the Funny Pearls Short Story Prize, and has been shortlisted for the Bath Flash Fiction Award. So, to read a brief history of Lady Charlotte, Duchess of Beaumont, please welcome Emma Kernahan.
Lady Charlotte, Duchess of Beaumont, was mad. Mad as a March hare, mad as a box of frogs, if you're feeling parochial, or as Mad King George, Lord rest his soul. In her youth, she demonstrated all the usual signs of a deranged constitution: provocative opinions on cross-stitching, a fondness for archery and smoking after dinner, and apparently cared little for the conventions of watercolour portraiture. In 1823, she was heard to interrupt her husband, the third Duke of Beaumont, during an anecdote about fish, and was naturally permanently confined to a turret in the east wing of Hadwich Hall as a lunatic. That she is dead, equally, is a matter of historical record. Lady Charlotte died during the Great Storm of February 1824, when a mysterious fire left the east wing of the hall in ruins. This was a great tragedy for her husband, who was forced to have it renovated entirely to his own taste and marry Lady Charlotte's maid out of pure grief. It was also an inconvenience for Lady Charlotte, who was now dead. But, being a Montague by birth, she slipped into the role of lunatic ghost with remarkable ease, and for nearly 200 years has successfully terrified the inhabitants of Hadwich Hall, occasionally to death. She is not the only disruptive spirit to haunt an ancestral seat in the county of Derbyshire. Lady Celia Villiers, 1839 to 1933, famously refused all treatment for hysteria, both electric shock therapy and a husband, and lived a life of tragic solitude, with only the moderately sized Chaston Castle, 10,000 a year, 45 servants, a Belgian chocolatier, and her loyal companion Miss Bradshaw for company, until her untimely death at the age of 94. Those planning to visit Chaston Castle should note that she continues to combine her passions for solitude and axe-throwing to significant effect. It is only the Duchess of Beaumont who has adapted so successfully to the demands of being a horrifying spectral entity while residing in Derbyshire's fourth largest tourist attraction. She is certainly the first vengeful ghost to be a valued member of a visitor services team. This is in no small part due to the modernisations of the 12th and current Duke of Beaumont, who, as evidenced by his striking portrait in the main atrium, is the youngest and the most forward-thinking owner of Hadwich Hall. Lady Charlotte has always felt that he bears an unmistakable resemblance to her late husband, even in those unfortunate trousers. Recent visitors will note that the current Duke has made all of the food locally sourced, the official merchandise plastic-free, and entrance to the Jamaica Plantation Wing half price. October to March. It is true that Lady Charlotte did not initially take to his estate management diversification strategy terribly well, particularly during the summer months when she found herself sharing Hadwich Hall with an enthusiastic group of historical reenactors, tour guides in fancy dress, and drama students jumping out of cupboards in wedding dresses, ripping up veils for applause. After centuries of terrorising governesses with her maniacal bride routine, she found everyone's amateurism a trial for her nerves and playfully attempted to lure the 12th Duke to his death from the bedroom window. Thankfully, due to the installation of double glazing, she had to entreat increasingly forcefully and move from abject beckoning to rather undignified waving before giving up the affair entirely. However, while Lady Charlotte is vengeful, as anyone using the current one-way system in the overflowed car park can attest, she does not approve of moaning, unless it is actual moaning, of course, or a strongly worded letter to senior management written in blood. And while there are limitations to being an unquiet spirit, sucking the life out of everyone you come into physical contact with, she does find that this stands her in good stead when it comes to overseeing the gift shop. On Mondays, Lady Charlotte informs the footman that she is not receiving visitors, opting instead for a preparatory day in her attic room, working on her own portrait of the 12th Duke of Beaumont and scanning the grounds for those picnicking outside of the designated area. However, since there are over 16,000 visitors a year to Hadich Hall and no footman, she often feels compelled to sally forth and put in a short appearance as a severed head. She first did this in 1896, using a bowl of punch during the Easter ball, and frightened the notorious Lord Wyndham so much he jumped out of a window. After that, he never married, so it was considered a great success. These days, she mostly bobs about ghoulishly in a mop bucket in the eco-toilets, floating for up to an hour in what she describes as homeopathic concentrations of domestos. Those staying in the self-catering bunk barn will be aware that her evil portents have been seriously undermined by an apparent lack of understanding of Greek allegory, so she has started writing Death Awaits in the guest book and hoping for the best. Tuesdays are given over entirely to attempting to add some gravitas to her own unmarked grave in the upper woods, now part of the highly popular Hadich Hedgehog Trail and play area. As a consequence, Wednesdays usually involve a lengthy period lurking behind the French drapes in the library in the form of a foul stench or hellish miasma, depending on her mood. Due to the audio guide headsets, she has sadly given up her renowned Thursday vocalizations after realising halfway through some strenuous gibbering that everyone was in fact listening to Sir Derek Jacobi making a joke about the Chippendales. Fridays she works as a tour guide in the infamous Red Room. It was here in 1866 that she was the subject of an after-dinner talk by Marcus Fanthorpe, famed local historian and rector of the parish, who described Lady Charlotte's appearance as coarsened by ill humour, shortly before his tragic demise in the ornamental maze, which was so well documented at the time. This was also where she liked to appear in her most terrifying form, nicknamed the Mistress of Doom, until the preponderance of cosplay events diminished her impact. As she has pointed out, it's hard to make an entrance when there are already 3 people in the room dressed as Admiral Nelson, and one of them has a customised eye patch. Instead, she now spends her afternoons giving directions to the baby change facilities in full evening dress with Janine, a student of costume design and prominent member of the North Yorkshire BDSM scene. After so many years of solitude, Lady Charlotte finds Janine's conversation most enlightening. She'd no idea it was now so easy to source good quality leather outside of Skipton. At 2 p.m, Lady Charlotte likes to entertain the over 65s coach tour from Bakewell by appearing in the form of a putrefying liquid on the rug. And this works very well on the few occasions that Janine doesn't put a cleaning in progress sign outside the door and spend the rest of the afternoon in the staff room vaping. Visitors to Hadich Hall this summer will be pleased to know that the current Duke has lined up a record number of events, including the exciting Countryfile Live, an unprecedented 15 weddings, and an open-air theatre production of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. Lady Charlotte's own plans are currently under wraps, but it's worth noting that she has recently completed an Open University course in gender studies. And few of those who have spotted her floating happily through the gift shop, dressed head to toe in Skipton's finest leather and tipping over miniature busts of Mr. Darcy, would doubt that there is much to look forward to. Indeed, many here will have seen her dramatic archery display during the filming of Antiques Roadshow last Sunday. And while Lady Charlotte has now had to concede that she lacks the range and the accuracy to tackle Fiona Bruce, she feels that there is room to be more forward-thinking when dealing with the current Duke of Beaumont. Those of you standing by the west-facing windows may catch a glimpse of him now, hiding in a peacock-shaped yew tree on the front lawns, while Lady Charlotte stands gracefully on the roof of the east wing, pausing to light her cigar from her flaming arrow before carefully taking aim. The more traditional among us have expressed concern over the ethics of a peer of the realm being finally hunted to death on his own property by a lunatic ghost. But as Lady Charlotte has been heard to remark, she's not the one charging £4.75 for a slice of fruitcake in the Stables Cafe.